On today's show, why do the Dallas Mavericks keep getting destroyed by the Denver Nuggets? Is there something we can learn here? Plus, should the Mavericks take any notes by how Denver has built their team by way of chemistry instead of just making a bunch of moves? We'll talk about that and more coming up on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
How about 10 Mavericks? NBA champions. Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member at NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video, and comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section what's one thing you want the Mavericks to change going forward for this team. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And joining me, the Postgame prodigy. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Yawn. That game is so boring. Just a brutal one.
A slog, a tough one to get through. So if you didn't get through it, we'll tell you everything you need to know about that game and talk about the Mavs. And I do want to talk about the Denver's chemistry, because I listened to the Locked On Nuggets pretty much all summer talk about Denver building this culture of winning and this championship culture and how they built this and how they, made one move stacked on top of another. And it feels like sometimes the Mavericks, their moves are just tear it all down, build it all up. You have Luka, Porzingis. All right, we build it all up from nothing. And you tear it all down when Porzingis leaves, and you build it back up with Luka and Brunson, and then Brunson leaves, and you tear it all down, and then you build it back up when you go get Kyrie. It's like, feels like this. Like, there are different, it feels like they've been 5 or 6 different teams with Luka. So I want to get into that. But let's start with just Luka is just on another level right now. This is his 11th straight game of 30 points or more. He has 38 points, 11 boards, 8 assists in this one. Could have had a lot more assists if anybody hit any threes. Mavs were 13 of 38, but he's just on another level. And when they drop and they allow him to get to that little, like mini mid-range, I almost want to call it, like the 10 to 12 feet kind of range where he can just hit a floater or post up somebody. He's just been lethal in that spot. And that's something he was good at a couple years ago, but the last few years that part of his game has kind of separate, like left him, and it's completely back now. He's been so good in that area.
Yeah, and he's been shooting I know his 3-point percentage has dipped a little bit, but he shot well tonight. And when he's shooting well, it's just he's an impossible cover because he's also aggressive, especially in the past couple of weeks. Aggressive, like you said, getting to his spots. And yeah, he could. I mean, he was out there stat padding. There's no two ways around it. He was trying to get a 40-point triple double, and they just could not make anything towards the end of the game there.
I felt so bad for Omax. He's wide open in the corner. Luka throws that over the shoulder, like over one shoulder pass that he's been doing.
Yeah.
If you watch the Mavs for the first time, you'd look at that pass and be like, who is this? Is this Pete Maravich? Like, who is this? Magic Johnson? Like, who am I watching right now?
That's a once a gamer, at least.
And he's been doing it. He's been doing it at least once a game. But yeah, Omax completely misses that shot. You're like, oh, dang. That would have been his 9th assist.
It was a bit of a rough Omax one.
Tough one for pretty much everybody except for Luka. And so that's why we're here. I hit 3 turnovers for Luka too, but he was a minus 29. It felt to me that second quarter, you start the second quarter and it's Luka, Curry, Tim Hardaway, Omax, Grant Williams. They went with smaller units, which is something I asked for before the game. I did an episode about the Portland Trailblazers game earlier today, and then I also talked about the Isaiah Stewart rumor on that episode too. So if you want to hear about that, go listen to the episode right before this one on whatever feed you're watching this on. But they start that second quarter with that group. Luka's on the court, and there's no Denver starters out. None of them are on the court. They have this full bench unit out there. And I go, okay, this is where they need to pick up some ground. They're down by 8 to start that quarter. They get it to within 2, and then the Denver bench kicks it up to a 10-point lead at the 8-minute mark. And you go, okay, wow, if the Denver bench is beating you in the Luka minutes, this is just not going to be good. And so I just spent the whole rest of the game waiting for Denver to just clear, just take the lead and move, because they were just seemed like they were just circling around and waiting for a moment to strike almost. It was like a venomous snake, just like hanging out, and they're just going to bite you and you're going to die. And then they did.
The Mavericks did die. Yeah. Reggie Jackson was going crazy. It just was not, obviously this is the MASH unit Dallas Mavericks, but if the Nuggets play like how they played tonight, where Jokic doesn't even have to do anything. It wasn't even necessarily that
feel
Jokic
like
had a
that.
bad game. Like the Mavericks were doubling him every time he caught the ball, like in the post, he was getting doubled immediately. And but he didn't need to do anything. Like it wasn't like he played poorly or made wrong decisions. He just gave the ball to Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon was unstoppable. Jamal Murray hit tough shot after tough shot after tough shot. And then the non-Jokic minutes that you need to win if you want to beat this Nuggets team, especially the like full health Nuggets team, you have to win those minutes convincingly. Reggie Jackson just goes nuclear. I mean, you're like, there's not a lot of teams in the league that are beating the Nuggets how they played tonight, period. I mean, they just won the finals, let alone this mass unit Mavs team.
They beat everybody.
Yeah, they literally nobody just beat them.
At least last.
I know I'm getting this wrong, but I'm just going to say it anyways. I'm pretty sure I heard somebody say after the Rockets beat the Nuggets earlier this year that it was the first time that starting five had lost at home to a Western Conference team.
Whoa.
Which I thought was crazy, but I thought about it. They got KCP last year, and Jamal Murray was kind of late coming back. So I wonder how many games that even has been, but that's still crazy. Again, that stat could be totally wrong, but I saw someone say it on Twitter. So
maybe I can text Adam Mares and see if he'll answer me in the middle.
Yeah.
He's probably live right now, but
yeah.
It sounds right though. It's like one of those stats, like a Wilt stat. It just, if it comes up, it sounds right because this team just doesn't lose certain games like this. They've built this culture, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it felt like to me that second quarter run at the beginning without any starters in was just a catalyst. And Jokic, he scored 8 points in this game. If Luka ever scores 8 points, the Mavs just don't win the game.
Well, Luka got hurt in the game. Knock on glass. Like if Luka scores under 10 points, he did not play in the game. He either got ejected for physically assaulting a ref, or he got injured.
How about Jokic with 8 points and they have 135 offensive rating, which means that's the Mavericks defensive rating too. Like that doesn't happen either for the Mavericks. Even go back to that, like even that Bulls game where we go, oh, it's just his worst game ever. He scored 18 points in that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like if all the others are beating you like that and Jokic doesn't even need to do anything, it's just an impossible team damn near an impossible team to beat.
What do you make of him getting hit in the mouth twice at the beginning of the game, both on defense? He got elbowed in the mouth by Aaron Gordon on a defensive play. One play earlier where he stood up Aaron Gordon on defense, and that was a good moment to see for Luka. But then another moment where he gets hit in the jaw and he starts bleeding right after that and just not getting calls. It felt like it was what he was going to get that whole game. Even though he was up for 10 free throws, it just felt like they were letting a lot of stuff go.
Yeah, the Aaron Gordon one I could kind of see missing because it was just kind of the way that he went up. Like I could see just missing that. But the Strother one, right? That's who it was on, wasn't it? Was it Strother?
I think so. I think you're right.
I mean, that one was an egregious missed call. The ref was standing literally right in front. Luka gets elbowed. They have to stop play because he's bleeding. that should just immediately be like, hey, we missed the call. We're having to stop play because he's bleeding. So clearly he got hit in the face. This is a foul.
They haven't done that in the NBA as often as you'd think that they would to like review because they got hit in the head. But in the WNBA, I'm wearing WNBA hoodie right now. Every Wings game I went to, if someone even maybe got hit in the head, they stopped play and went and reviewed. It felt like they were way more cognizant of those types of plays in the W than they are in the NBA so far. Because he gets hit right in the mouth. Maybe they don't count the mouth as part of the face. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's not part of the head.
It was inadvertent. No, that was a foul 10 times out of 10. And again, if you have to stop play because of a no call and someone's bleeding, you messed up badly. And you should immediately be like, okay, sorry, we messed up. That was a foul.
To me, it's also part of the reputation of Luka. He's gotten a reputation with these refs that he's going to complain and flop and, he's gotten flop fines this year and all that. And he's built up sort of this reputation that like, all right, now you're paying for it in a way with some of these ref crews.
That's just so brutal, especially the way Luka plays, how physical he is.
And
again, I don't think it was like egregious tonight or anything like that. But that one,
no, not overall.
Bad.
I didn't think it was. But getting hit in the face twice to me was like, okay, I had 2 nickels. I got 2 nickels. It's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah,
still haven't. But so the fouls weren't getting called his way necessarily early on. It felt like it was. It felt like he was trying to get certain things going, and it was really just all on Luka at the beginning of this game. So coming up, let's talk about some of the other guys. Grant Williams. Can the Mavericks get more from him? Derrick Jones Jr. Can the Mavericks get, anything else out of him, or Dante Exum? What does he need to bring now that the Mavericks are kind of relying on him? We'll talk about that and how we look at these role players differently now because of these injuries coming up. Today's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered with all kinds of car parts and things like that you can get to help your ride. eBay Motors partners and have teamed up with Locked On Fantasy Basketball, the GOAT, host Josh Lloyd, to bring you some of the best fantasy picks each week, all season long. So if you're prepping for a daily draft, scouring the waiver wire, anything like that, you should check out Josh Lloyd's eBay Guaranteed Fit Fantasy Picks of the Week. One of his fantasy picks of the week is Grayson Allen. I'll pick Grayson Allen of the Suns. Bradley Beal is out again. Who saw that coming? Allen should see strong minutes with a nice increase usage role for the next few weeks. So if you're in daily fantasy, if you're doing something with fantasy, check out Grayson Allen. See if he's available in your league or on the daily wire. Check that out. Josh Lloyd from Locked On Fantasy Basketball is going to help you win your fantasy championship. eBay Motors knows that a championship team is about each player being a perfect fit like they are on the Nuggets. Same with your vehicle. So check out the 122 million parts that you can choose from for your car. Brake lights, LED headlights, brake kits, brake lights. I guess brake lights, they have all that too. Brake lights, brake kits, LED headlights, roof rack, bumpers, whatever your car needs, eBay Motors has it. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or you get your money back. So keep your ride or die alive at eBay Motors. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Go check out the Locked On Sports Today. Check out the show. It's on the feed, the Locked On Sports Today YouTube channel. I'm on there today with Peter Bukowski talking about the Mavericks. He was interested in the Mavericks. I was like, even though they just got destroyed by like 30, he goes, yeah, come on the national show and talk about Luka because he's been that awesome. It's true. Go check out that and then our live 24/7 feed. You can check out some great Locked On shows, including Locked On NBA. I'll be on there on Wednesday day, or like Tuesday night. So I'll be on there then. All right, Slightly. These role players, we've been giving them credit, right? Like we talked so glowingly about them. What was it, you and me after the the Lakers game? We were just glowing about all these guys. Exum, X going give it to you. Grant Williams, pop back up. And now a game like this, you look at him where you say, all right, Grant Williams, 3 of 8. And he scored 7 points. Didn't get any steal, no assists, only 3 rebounds, played 22 minutes, only took 2 threes, really.
Yeah.
You've got Tim Hardaway Jr., 3 of 12 from the field, 2 of 9 from 3. Didn't really do a whole lot else. Did take another charge, which he's just insanely good at. His maybe hold on, maybe I should hide for his one defensive skill. Okay, I'm back. Dante Exum, 5 of 5 from the field, hit 1 3, 11 points. He was their second leading scorer, only 2 assists. And I think that's a problem now because the Mavericks are kind of relying on him. What do you think about these role players, and can the Mavericks get anything else out of them?
Grant needs to play better. I mean, he needs to start hitting shots, and that's just the reality. And that's tough to say because that's, I still think his effort's still there. It's not like he's just checking out of games, but he just has to start hitting shots. That's just the reality of the situation at hand. Derrick Jones Jr. is in a bit of a shooting slump. It is what it is. I mean, these guys are going to get in shooting slumps over the course of the season. That's just how it goes. So the Exum one is interesting to me, though, more than anything else, because Exum is perfect as like the third guy next to Luka and Kyrie, and he can either play alongside
the third
those
ball
two.
handler. I want to say that he's not like, because some people cast him. I got a lot of like mailbag questions this weekend as because with the rise of Exum, can he be the third star? I'm like, all right, let's put him into the role in the box that like he needs to fit in to limit these expectations a little bit for what he can be.
Yeah, and to be clear, that's whenever I said third guy, that's what I meant was a third ball handler.
Yeah.
But like the third ball handler next to Luka and Kyrie, or the guy who can play, off the bench with one of them or none of them. But this sort of, he has to be the number 2 guy. You could just tell it's not who he is, because that means he needs to shoot more, and he doesn't even like want to do that. And I respect that part of his game, but like he has to in games like tonight. And what the reality is Jaden Hardy was supposed to be the guy who's like, he has that offensive upside and he has that scoring potential that if Kyrie misses time or Luka misses time, he steps in and he could fill the void and score points and do what we need him to do, create for himself. And him being, just not good at all to start this season has kind of hurt the Mavericks in some ways. Hasn't like tanked them or anything, obviously, but it hurts them in games like tonight where you needed another offensive guy and Hardy's just kind of been unplayable.
It's weird that the Mavericks have gotten really good beginning of the seasons out of Derrick Jones Jr. and Dante Exum, and bad ones out of Hardy and Josh Green, right? The players that we kind of hyped up, or at least I did over the summer. I didn't think Hardy would play that role. I didn't think Hardy would get a guaranteed spot. I thought the leap would come next year. You just look at guys across the league, the Jordan Pooles, the Anthony Simons, even the Tyrese Maxeys, those types of guys, they all take a leap when they're like going from 22 to 23. It's like either the third or fourth year in the league. It just seems like they all take that leap at the same time. And so I'm going to go off of that. I'm going to go off of like all those guys being the exact same and Hardy following suit. The thing is, though, you're supposed to see consistency out of this season, and we're not seeing that at all.
Or like really anything.
No.
Like that's what, and I want him to be good so bad. He showed enough his rookie season. We're like, okay, for a second round, young guy to come in like that and do some of the things he did, that's really encouraging. But it's just like you don't really even see those anymore. Like they're far and few between. And
the lack of a Tim Hardaway Jr. trade is a blessing in disguise in some ways for many of those reasons, right? Like Jaden Hardy would be in that role if the Tim Hardaway Jr. trade that we all thought, including himself, thought would happen. And Seth Curry would be playing a little bit more. He came in and then he only played like 7 minutes in this game. I don't know what happened with him. Haven't seen or heard any reports about him. But yeah, these role players, it just feels like the Mavericks are really running thin because they are, right? They're missing so many guys in this game. No Kyrie, huge one. No Dereck Lively, massive. No Josh Green. Maxi Kleber still out. And so you just look across the board and the Mavs they're just missing a ton of guys at this point. And so you can't take any huge like takeaways from this one because Kyrie should be able to like help that offense. And Dereck Lively will be able to come back and help the defense not give up. How many points at the rim did they give up?
1 trillion.
The Nuggets. Oh my God. The Nuggets went 23 of 26 at the rim.
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, to be fair, a lot of those were like uncontested layups though. It wasn't like a lot of them were like having Lively would have helped obviously, but some of the perimeter defense stuff was really bad tonight.
Denver had 14 fast break points in the first quarter. 14 of their 28 points, and they finished the game with 32 points in fast break.
Yeah, they got out and ran.
They did.
That was clearly a thing they were trying to do.
It felt like the Mavericks. I said this to the subtext subscribers. Denver always outclasses the Mavericks.
Yeah,
you look across, talent, and then you look across the chemistry of what they have and all that. And then also, I felt like the Mavericks. There's just no sense of urgency in this game because I think they're tired. They've got they're in Denver, and all of those can be excuses if you want them to be. And I think that they were. I think that they were tonight for that team. They shouldn't be, but hey, that's where they are. It just didn't feel like they had that sense of urgency. You look at the difference between that like 30-0 run against the Thunder and how they played against the Nuggets tonight. Even though they lost that Thunder game, you're like, that's just night and day, a different team with a different sense of energy and urgency and like seeing who's in front of you and not just respecting who's in front of you, but thinking you can win and going out and playing the way that you need to win.
I mean, even that loss to the Timberwolves where they lost by a lot, but they were like in it and competitive for most of the game. But I mean, we can sit here and talk about this role player needs to play better. That role player needs to be better. The Nuggets are like outclassing pretty much every team in the league when they're fully healthy, especially at home. And they're definitely, like you said, they outclass the Mavericks when they're healthy anyway. They're a better team than the Mavericks. I mean, if you needed us to tell you that, you went into the season with way too high of expectations, and they're much better than the MASH unit Mavericks. I mean, I just don't think there's a lot to take away from games like these. I really don't.
And so I want to look at this. What's the Mavs' path to matching a team like Denver or getting to a point where they're there? Should the Mavericks focus on building this chemistry and adding maybe a piece to what they have instead of just ripping it all up and changing fundamentally what this team is? We'll talk about that and how Denver has done that coming up. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Game Time has all the tickets that you can go and check out. Go to gametime.co or download the app. They've got Lions at Cowboys tickets right now. You can go see what kind of tickets they have available for you. They got tickets for like $100. You can go to a Cowboys game right there. There's all kinds of tickets at AT&T Stadium. There's great stuff all around that too that you can check out. FC Barcelona is playing at the Cotton Bowl. Okay, now I'm just looking for myself at this point. They have tickets like midfield for like $300 to go see Barcelona. That's pretty cool. So check out that. That's at the Cotton Bowl. It's over in Dallas. They have all kinds of other stuff too. Go check out Game Time. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Create an account. download the app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA at game time to get your tickets to all kinds of sporting events. They have concerts too. Nicki Minaj coming to the American Airlines Center. Fallout Boy, Pentatonics coming. I might have to go check out that one. The hometown kids. All right, again, check it out. GameTime.co. Download the Game Time app today.
Egging on the crowd.
All right, Slightly. The Denver Nuggets have built this championship culture. They won last year. They just keep building on what they have. And it felt like piece by piece, they had the Jokic and Murray foundation, and they built on that year to year. Let's start here. Where do you think the Mavericks are in that process?
They have their Jokic.
They do. That's a very big start. There's only like 3 teams in the league that can say they have that.
Yeah.
And one of them, his teammate can't stop punching people. So
true. But it's hard to say where they are. Like, the problem is Jamal Murray and Jokic were both young guys who got to grow and develop alongside one another. Kyrie's not young. So that probably should have been Brunson in hindsight, but it's no longer Brunson. So it's also different too, because the Nuggets, Jesus, got choked up.
Every single person in Dallas is sick right now.
I got choked up thinking about the Nuggets championship team.
I'm sick. I came home and I'm sick right now. You're sick right now. Isaac,
like
I talked to Isaac and he's sick.
They developed next to each other, and now they're just singing in perfect. Pentatonics is the a cappella group, right?
But they even lost their bassist, their bass guy, and they.
You said they're from Dallas?
They went to they are from Arlington.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
They went to high school with one of my friends.
All of them?
The 3 like singer people.
Oh, okay.
I guess they're all singer because it's an a cappella group.
Yeah.
Scott and
No, if you're drums on an a cappella group, you're not a singer.
Kevin does some crazy things though. Kevin's
but that's
cool.
just beatboxing.
He beatboxes and plays the cello at the same time. That's
yeah. If you guys couldn't tell, the Mavericks got blown out tonight, and there's just not a lot to talk about.
I think there is a conversation in this though.
Sorry, you got derailed. But going back to what you asked, yeah, okay. You have your Jokic and Luka. Maybe the Nuggets are just a hard one to look at because they've just done such a great job. What the Mavericks can take away is, all right, maybe we stop. I don't know if you said this before the show or at the start of the show, where they just build something and then tear it down completely to the studs and then try to build something new. Maybe we stop that and instead we take a much more calculated approach to our trades. Or, you know what? We don't have to make a trade. And I think what they did in the summer signals that that's maybe where they're headed.
Yes.
By going younger, by saying, hey, we could go out and get Clint Capella. You know, we could go out and get Ayton.
Oh my God. I'm so glad after the game this weekend, I'm so glad they didn't go do the
I tweeted out all of these centers that everyone all summer said we need to trade this person for this person for this person. They are terrible.
Lively is better than them.
Stink. Yeah, Lively not only is better than them, but is like comfortably. Lively is comfortably better than Clint Capella currently. He is comfortably better than Ayton, who I don't even know if he wants to play basketball. I mean, you just watch the games. I don't know if Ayton wants to play the sport. Like, God bless him. He might just be one of those guys you hear about from time to time.
There's just cooler things to do in Portland, I think.
Yeah. But you hear, especially the tall guys. It's funny because in basketball, you hear this, I feel like, more where it's just like, dude, I'm just tall. Like, I had to play basketball. I'm tall and athletic. I don't even really like it, but I had to do it. But I think the Mavericks signaled that was a direction they were looking to head, because they could have gone out and gotten all of those guys, but they didn't. And I don't know. Everyone just keeps tweeting me these like trades. Should we trade this guy for this guy? I'm starting to think the Mavericks might be quiet at the trade deadline.
Well, you've heard my theory on the trade, right? If they're going to do a trade this year, it'll be at the trade deadline. They'll use the second round picks as the lube to get a trade through, right? Like that's what it was last year. We're sitting around
crazy wording.
It's been my wording this whole time, but I'm sticking with it. They were sitting around and we were like, oh, that player would be great for the Mavs. That player would help the Mavs. They just didn't have any second round picks to push one through, right?
Yeah.
And so they've got that now. And so they'll do something like that. They'll do a smaller trade to like add to this, and hopefully a player that can be like part of the future and like moving forward, and not just a rental 1-year guy. And then after the draft, they'll have 3 first-round picks they can trade. And that's when I think a trade will come, or they'll get their Aaron Gordon type piece. The Drew Holiday, Aaron Gordon. That's the piece the Mavs are missing. I thought there's a small chance that Grant Williams could blossom into becoming that. We've seen crazier things. Look what Brunson just did over the last couple of years. He went from that type of player that Grant Williams was to like a number 1 option or probably at best a number 2 option. So we thought that. And I'm like, all right, well, that's not happening. I could see Dereck Lively definitely becoming that Michael Porter Jr. type like status of player. I mean, he may already be as impactful as he is. And so the Mavericks are heading their way there, but they have to figure out the Luka Kyrie chemistry. The chemistry that I saw from Denver in both of these games the Mavs have played against them, both on offense and on defense. Defense may be even more important. Denver didn't play their best defensive game, but felt like the Mavericks had to fight for every basket they got. Luka had to fight for every basket that he got. And it feels like the Mavericks just need to build on that. And so that's why this whole season I've been saying the Mavericks just need to figure out which of these players are building blocks going forward. They've got to figure it out. And it looks like I think at least they've got one with Grant Williams. I think the team definitely believes it. Exum is maybe emerging as one that you can. Derrick Jones Jr. seems to be emerging as one that you can't. Like we're starting to see it kind of piece together here.
Yeah, and again, this is what they signaled. They did not signal that this was an all or nothing, make or break. If we don't win this year, Luka's out type of year, because they would have made the panic. We need Clint Capella immediately trades. Like they would have done all of that, and they didn't. And I agree. I think this team's not winning the finals this year. They're just. I mean, crazier things have happened, I guess, but it would be shocking if this team made a finals run, and that's okay. Like you said, this is like kind of it's not a rebuilding year. That's the wrong word, but it's sort of a, let's see where we are at the end of this year and who we have more than anything else.
If Jokic like tears his Achilles or something like that, I could see them. I could see the Mavs making a run in that way, but that you don't want, like, if you have to have some kind of contingency in front of you.
Yeah, they're not an inner circle contender,
right? Not yet.
But again, that's fine though. That was what I thought. I going into the season, I said, hey, if they win, if they look much better in the regular season, which they already have, and they win a playoff series, to me, that's successful. We're building on it. Okay, we've laid the groundwork. We lost in the second round or whatever, but we know exactly what we need to do, and we're going to do it. That to me is a successful season. If you're like, God, I mean, in my chat tonight during the stream, there's people like having meltdowns after a loss like this. Like, guys, you might need to take a couple months off. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm actually saying it in a nice way, looking out for your mental well-being.
I'm going to zag on that. At this point, so Matt Moore was HP Basketball on Twitter was saying something like that too. I said something positive.
Favorite person.
I said something positive on Twitter, and people are still coming after me. There's no winning when the Mavericks lose.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm just gonna let people do it. Whatever you want, let it all out. Let your frustration out. You know, and like I'm just gonna not expect better from some fans at this point,
right?
In my career covering the Mavericks, like it's just gonna happen. It just
I'm not trying to gatekeep. I'm just actually, because this is exactly what I do with the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm speaking from personal experience. I got so angry at the Cowboys. They used to ruin my entire week. So I said, you know what? I hate this team. I didn't watch them at all last year, and my life was so much better. Genuinely, my life was much improved. So if you're like, it's the middle of December, the Mavericks just lost, they're missing 4 guys to the best team in the West. And if you're just like so worked up and upset by that, I just think it might be for the best if you come back around the trade deadline. Oh, we traded for Pascal Siakam?
Or live your Mavs life through Locked On Mavs and Slightly Biased on YouTube.
True.
Right?
True, but maybe don't watch the games live.
We'll help you. We'll keep you covered for everything that you need, right?
I just
and then come back and then check back in, you know?
But I think they are building towards that though. I think they've recognized that doing this whole, this didn't work out. All right, just tear it all down. We'll try it again. This didn't work out. Tear it all down. We'll try it again. It's not a winning formula. Like, it just doesn't work. The only person it's ever really worked for is LeBron, and he's LeBron.
But Luka should be LeBron though, is the thing. Like,
but he's not LeBron.
And also that those eras were so different than this one right now.
Yeah,
this era is so talented. Like, you just look top to bottom. I mean, people were talking themselves into the Wizards this year, which was a ridiculous thing to do now looking back at it. I was talking myself into the Pistons. Like, oh, that's such a talented team. If anybody takes a step forward, they'll be like a fringe. And now they've lost 23 straight games. So.
Yeah. Also, LeBron's like tearing it down and building it up was like, okay, Dwayne Wade, who at the time was a top 7 player in the league, and then Chris Bosh was like a top 12 player in the league.
What he did when he came back to Cleveland, though, was pretty much a teardown.
Yeah, but Kyrie was like a top 15 player in the league at that time, too. So it wasn't like he was just by himself on these teardowns, which Luka kind of has been. It's been like an injured KP and a not yet blossomed Brunson.
Mavs related. Well, you could say Kyrie was a top 15 player then. I think Kyrie now is better than Kyrie then. I don't think you can say he's a top 15 player right now.
No, I don't. I mean, he just
Isn't that crazy?
there's just so many good players in the NBA.
That's what I mean by like the depth of the league.
He
Like,
started the All-Star game last year. He was a starter,
right.
voted as a top 10 player in the league. Obviously, with like positions and stuff, it's weirder, but pretty much around a top 10 player in the league. And yeah, I think if you want to say he's like in the 20s, I think that's, there's a lot of great players. That's not a knock on Kyrie.
You look at guys that have just taken leaps that are probably ahead of him right now, like SGA.
Yeah, easily. I mean, SGA is a top 5 player in the league.
Yeah, and so you just look at that.
I genuinely believe that.
I know. It's your SGA propaganda.
I
need to get you on Locked On Thunder with Rylan.
My preseason top 100 list, I had Shea 5th, and everyone yelled at me. I had him ahead of Tatum and Embiid. I saw the vision.
Tatum.
2020.
I saw a tweet this weekend that said Tatum is the only NBA player that truly gets slandered just for his basketball ability.
Yeah, I saw that too. That was funny.
It's very true.
I'm like, I thought about it too. I was like, yeah, he really just takes care of business.
People get in the most ethical arguments only about Jason Tatum. You bring anybody else in, it's about Luka being fat or arguing with the refs. It's about
That was a funny tweet. I saw that tweet too.
There you go. All right, we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll break down more of the Mavericks and talk about what they're going to do going forward. Slightly, and I'll be back on Wednesday. Mavs Clippers.
Ooh, 8 in a row for the Clippers.
They're a lot better than the Clippers. Well, they're not better than the Clippers team that the Mavs saw last time, but definitely the time before that. And then there's 2 games this weekend. Rockets and Spurs. Will have you covered for those. Dana Larson will be back on Thursday as well. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.